Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the English Coffee Talk Show. I'm your host, Eva, and it's great to be with you today.
And I'm James. So glad to be here, Eva. I really am. Though I have to say, the traffic getting to the studio this morning was absolutely crazy. I was starting to think I'd have to host a show from my car.
Oh, tell me about it. I thought it was just me. It was bumper to bumper the whole way.
Right?
It took me an extra 20 minutes to get here. And you know that intersection just a few blocks away? I was stuck there for 4 light cycles. 4!
No way. That's the worst. For me, it was a huge construction truck. It was going about 5 miles per hour, and there was no way to get around it.
Oh, that is pure agony. You just have to sit there and accept your fate.
Exactly. I think it might be the pre-holiday rush. It seems like everyone is out running errands, getting things done.
That must be it. Speaking of holidays, that actually leads us perfectly into our topic for today's show.
Oh, a smooth transition. I like it.
We're going to be talking about a day that fills the shops with hearts, an explosion of red and pink and mountains of chocolate.
Ah, you must be talking about the one and only St. Valentine's Day.
Exactly! The 14th of February, a day that people either seem to love or, well, not love so much. James, what are your first thoughts when you hear Valentine's Day? Are you a fan?
You know, that's a great question. I think I'm a bit of a romantic at heart, so I do enjoy the sentiment behind it. I think any excuse to celebrate and do something special for the people you care about is a good thing.
That's a nice way to look at it.
What about you, Eva? Where do you stand on the great Valentine's debate?
I think I have mixed feelings, if I'm being honest. On one hand, I completely agree with you. It is lovely to have a day that's officially dedicated to love and affection. It's a reminder to pause and appreciate our partners, friends, and family.
Right.
But on the other hand, it can feel incredibly commercialized.
Oh, for sure. Commercialized is the perfect word for it. For our listeners who might not know that word, it means that something has been turned into an opportunity for businesses to make money.
Exactly. And with Valentine's Day, it's very obvious. You walk into any store in late January, and it's already an explosion of heart-shaped everything.
Totally. There's a lot of pressure to buy expensive gifts, the perfect bouquet of roses, the fanciest box of chocolates.
Yes, and it can put a lot of pressure on people. Pressure to be in a relationship, pressure to spend money you might not have, pressure to have this picture-perfect romantic day.
That's a really valid point. It can create unrealistic expectations. But I like to think that at its core, the spirit of the day is just about showing appreciation. You know, it doesn't have to be about the grand, expensive gestures.
I completely agree with that. It really is the thought that counts. A simple, heartfelt card can mean more than a giant teddy bear.
100%. Maybe we can introduce some useful vocabulary here for our listeners. We've used the word affection, which is that gentle feeling of fondness or liking for someone.
Good one. And there's also romance, which describes the feelings and actions of love and emotional attraction.
Perfect. And I think the idea of what Valentine's Day celebrates has really expanded too. It's not just about romantic love anymore. People celebrate their friends, their family. It's become more inclusive over the years.
It really has, and I think that's one of the best things to happen to the holiday.
So it's become this big, commercialized, but also inclusive celebration of love. But where did it even come from? I've always been a little fuzzy on the details.
Well, you're not alone. Its history is actually quite fascinating, and in some parts a little bit dark and mysterious.
Ooh, dark and mysterious. Now I'm interested. I always just half joked that it was invented by a greeting card company to sell more cards.
That's a very popular theory, and they certainly help keep it going. But the real roots of the holiday go way, way back, many centuries ago. Some historians believe it has origins in an ancient Roman festival.
A Roman festival? Okay.
Yes, a festival called Lupercalia, which was celebrated in the middle of February.
Lupercalia? That sounds dramatic.
It was. It was a fertility festival, and let's just say it was quite wild and chaotic. It definitely wasn't about hearts and flowers. The customs were, well, very different from our modern ideas of romance.
Right. So probably no romantic candlelit dinners back then.
Definitely not. The name of Valentine's Day itself comes from at least two, maybe three different Christian martyrs who were named Valentine.
So there was more than one Saint Valentine.
Apparently so, but the most famous legend, the one that really stuck, is about a priest from Rome who lived in the 3rd century.
Okay, a Roman priest. I'm following.
So the story goes that the Roman emperor at the time, a man named Claudius II, had a very particular belief. He believed that single men made better soldiers than those with wives and families.
I can see the logic, I guess. Fewer distractions.
Exactly his thinking. So he decided to outlaw or ban marriage for all young men in his army.
Wow, that's extreme. You can't just ban love.
Well, this priest Valentine thought the same thing. He believed the emperor's decree was unjust and cruel, so he defied Claudius.
He defied the emperor. How?
He continued to perform marriages for young lovers, but in secret. He'd hold these secret ceremonies to join couples together against the emperor's orders.
A secret wedding priest. That's like something out of a movie. He was a true champion of love.
He really was. But as you can imagine, secrets like that don't stay secret forever. Eventually, Valentine's actions were discovered.
Oh no.
And when Emperor Claudius found out, he was furious. He ordered that Valentine be arrested and put to death.
Just for performing marriages? That's heartbreaking.
It is. And legend says that he was executed on February 14th. So the day we now associate with love and romance is actually the anniversary of his martyrdom.
So we're celebrating love on a very tragic anniversary. That is a bit dark, but also incredibly romantic in a way. He literally died for love.
It is. But the holiday didn't immediately become about romance. For centuries, it was just a religious feast day. The connection to love as we know it didn't really happen until much later, in the Middle Ages.
Okay, so how did that shift happen?
We can thank a famous English poet for that, Geoffrey Chaucer.
Chaucer, from the Canterbury Tales?
The very same. In the 1300s, he wrote a poem called Parliament of Fowls, and in it, he links St. Valentine's Day with the idea of birds choosing their mates for the season.
Birds choosing their mates. That's a very poetic image.
It is. There's a specific line that says something like, "For this was on St. Valentine's Day, when every bird comes there to choose his mate." That romantic idea really captured people's imaginations and started the tradition of seeing the day as a time for love and courtship.
That's amazing. So a poet is the one who really kicked off the whole romance thing. I love that.
It's a great story, isn't it? So that brings us from ancient Rome and medieval poetry right up to our modern traditions. Let's break some of those down.
Okay, let's do it. I think the most obvious tradition we see today is gift giving. It's the first thing people think of.
Absolutely. And there are some very classic, very specific Valentine's gifts. Flowers, for example.
Right, and not just any flowers, it's almost always red roses. A dozen red roses is the ultimate symbol of Valentine's Day.
It is. And for our listeners, the red rose is a symbol of deep love, romance, and passion. That's why it's so popular on this particular holiday.
And then, of course, you have chocolate, usually served in a heart-shaped box. That's a staple. I've definitely bought and received a few of those in my time.
Me too. It's a classic for a reason. Who doesn't love chocolate? And then there's the Valentine's card. This tradition is huge, especially in the US and the UK.
Yes, the card is essential. People write messages of love and appreciation. It's a chance to put your feelings into words.
Exactly. And sometimes they're sent anonymously, signed with a question mark or from your secret admirer.
Ooh, the secret admirer. That adds a little mystery and excitement to the day. For our listeners, an admirer is someone who likes or respects you, and a secret admirer is someone who feels this way but hasn't revealed their identity.
It's a really fun and sweet tradition. It can be for a crush, someone you like but are too shy to tell.
Right. Besides gifts, what about activities? What do people do? The most common one is a romantic dinner. Couples go out to a nice restaurant.
They do, and those restaurants are always completely packed on February 14th. You have to make a reservation weeks, sometimes months in advance to get a table at a popular spot.
That's so true. Or people cook a special meal at home, maybe see a romantic movie. But like we said earlier, it's not just for couples anymore. The traditions are evolving. I love the whole idea of Galentine's Day.
Me too. Can you explain that for our audience, James?
I'd love to. So, Galentine's Day is a wonderful, informal holiday that people celebrate on February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. It was popularized by a character on a TV show, actually.
Oh, right, from Parks and Recreation.
That's the one. It's a day for gals, which is a casual word for women, to get together and celebrate their female friendships. They might have brunch, exchange small gifts. It's all about appreciating your friends.
I think it's a brilliant tradition. Friendship is such an important kind of love, and it deserves to be celebrated too.
I completely agree. And it's expanded even further. I've heard of people having Palentine's Day parties, celebrating their pals or friends regardless of gender.
That's wonderful. It just makes the whole period around Valentine's Day feel more inclusive and less focused on just one type of relationship. It becomes about celebrating all the important connections in your life.
Exactly. It removes the pressure and makes it about love in general, which feels much healthier and happier.
And these traditions we've been talking about, the roses, the cards, the dinners, they're very common in Western cultures, like in the United States, Canada, and the UK. But Valentine's Day is celebrated quite differently in other parts of the world.
Oh, that's right. I'm always fascinated by how different cultures adapt holidays. Give us an example.
Okay, a great one is Japan. On February 14th in Japan, it's traditionally the women who give gifts to the men.
Really? So the roles are reversed from what we typically see here.
Exactly. And it's not just any gift, it's almost always chocolate, but it's very specific.
How so?
Well, there are two main types of chocolate given. The first is called Giri-choko. Giri means obligation, so this is obligation chocolate.
Obligation chocolate. That is brilliant. Who do they give that to?
They give it to male coworkers, bosses, and platonic friends. It's a polite social custom. There's no romantic meaning behind it.
That is so practical. And what's the other kind?
The other kind is Honmei-choko. Honmei means true feeling. This is the special, often homemade or expensive chocolate that a woman gives to her husband, boyfriend, or someone she has a crush on.
Ah, so that's the romantic one. Giri-choko and Honmei-choko. I love that distinction. It's so clear. So do the men just receive chocolate and that's it?
Not at all. They have to return the favor exactly 1 month later on March 14th.
A month later?
Yep. That day is called White Day. On White Day, the men who receive chocolate in February are expected to give a gift back to the women.
And I'm guessing from the name, the gifts are supposed to be white?
That's the tradition. Often things like white chocolate, marshmallows, or other gifts like jewelry or handbags. And they are expected to be worth more than the gift they received.
Wow, there's a lot of social rules there, but that is a fascinating system. It spreads the celebration out over 2 months.
It does. And here's another great example. In many Latin American countries, like Colombia and Mexico, they don't just call it Valentine's Day.
What do they call it?
It's often known as Día del Amor y la Amistad.
My Spanish is a little rusty, but I think I know that one. Day of Love and Friendship?
You got it. From the very name of the holiday, it's clear that it celebrates all kinds of love, not just romantic love. People exchange gifts and cards with their friends as well as their partners.
See, I think they have it exactly right. Day of Love and Friendship. That's the perfect name for it. It captures the true spirit.
It really does. It's a beautiful way to think about it. So, from a mysterious martyred saint in ancient Rome to a poetic reference about birds to a global celebration of love and friendship, Valentine's Day has certainly had quite a long and interesting journey.
It certainly has. It's much more than just a commercial holiday when you dig into the history and the different ways people celebrate it around the world.
I agree. It's a reminder that no matter the tradition, the core idea is about expressing gratitude and affection for the people who make our lives better.
A perfect summary, Ava. Whether you celebrate with a romantic dinner, have a fun Galentine's brunch with your friends, or just treat yourself to some delicious chocolate, it's a good reminder to appreciate those important connections.
Absolutely. And on that lovely note, that's all the time we have for today on the English Coffee Talk Show. Thank you so much for joining us and exploring the history of Valentine's Day with us.
We really hope you enjoyed the episode, learned some new vocabulary, and maybe a few fun facts to share with your own Valentine or Palentine. And don't forget to subscribe and turn the notifications on.
That's right. That way you won't miss our next episode. We always have great conversations lined up for you. Until then, take care, everyone.
Bye for now.